and we're looking more at the outcome, at the impact. All right, it's impossible for us as referees to crawl up into the head of the players to really understand why they're doing what they're doing. So we're taking a more factual approach and looking to see what actually happened. So in the NCAA rules, it always talked about deliberate action. Same thing with IFAB, and really deliberate action was all of the law. So, and when we talk about considerations now, the hand or the arm going to the ball is now one piece of handball. All right, but we know that as officials in the past few years, we didn't necessarily have to have movement of the hand or arm to the ball, but we still considered something to be a handball. All right, so that's what this change is now all about, and putting into the law book, putting into the rule book, the other text that will help the officials, help the referees determine if something really is handball or not, and really shrink that amount of gray. And one of the things they talk about, and this is nothing new, we had natural versus unnatural last year. Now we're talking about making the body unnaturally bigger. Is the player creating a barrier for the ball, or playing outside of what is the normal playing silhouette? We know when a player runs. We know when a player jumps. We know when a player is in a defensive stance. All right, you have something that is considered to be normal. We know that players don't play with their arms taped against their body. We know that we see players playing with their arms behind their back, which is really a very unnatural thing for players to do. All right, so we're looking at when are they creating that barrier for the ball. If you look back at the clips that we had, I know we're only talking about 3 of them, but if you look at clip number 4, all right, from there, if you go back, that's really a good example of the normal playing silhouette. The player's just running, the ball comes from a short distance, and the ball gets played into the player's arm. The arm is not there as a barrier, it's there as a normal running motion. Whereas if you look at clip number 6, the arms are tight against the body. Okay, so in essence, the player is making their body smaller in that situation. The other thing that we're going to consider is when the hand or the arm is above the shoulder. It's very, very unnatural for the arm in any instance to be above the shoulder. So when the ball hits the arm and the arm is above the shoulder, it's at that head height, all right, then 9 times out of 10, or even more so, 99% of the time, that is going to be a handball offense. All right, I'm going to skip a bullet and go down to the exception to that is when a player deliberately plays the ball into their own arm. All right, many times we know that if you're going to clear the ball out of the back, you are in the natural way going to open up your arms for balance and for control. All right, and we see many times when players do that, they misplay the ball, and the ball then gets played up into their own arm. Or we've seen players jumping up to head the ball, and they end up heading the ball into their own arm. So while it may look like the arm is outside of the body, it's a normal playing motion for the player to do. So if they deliberately play it into the ball into their arm or hand, we're saying that that's really not a handball. Taking a risk, we've talked about that consideration a lot in the past, and typically taking a risk was saved for when a player slides on the ground. A player chooses to slide on the ground, all right, so they certainly take a risk when they choose to do that. But players need to understand that anytime that they go into a challenge, whether it's sliding on the ground or they're going on their feet, they have to assume some responsibility for putting their arms in certain positions. All right, but going back to the sliding piece of it, IFAB has conceded that it is normal that when a player falls or a player slides to put your arm down to support your body. All right, so typically if the arm is supporting the body on the ground, then this is not going to be a handball if the ball ends up hitting the arm, unless we see some sort of secondary motion. Okay. Finally, the last piece that we need to talk about in the considerations is the disciplinary side of things. All right, we have SPA and we can have a denial of a goal. So anytime that we have a shot on goal, all right, and there is a goalkeeper back, there are other defenders that are back, you're really taking away that promising attack. Any shot on goal, at the very least, is a promising attack. So if we have a handball that's not denying a goal, then we should be considering that handball offense as SPA. Whereas if it does deny a goal, then we do see it as denying a goal, and a red card should be issued in that situation. All right, so that takes care of the considerations for handball. I know it really doesn't make it too much clearer because these are the same considerations we've had in the past. And how we get it right or wrong may depend many times on what kind of view do we have, what kind of angle do we have, how close are we to the play, and how focused are we on that particular action. All right, a lot of the situations that we looked at this past week were penalty area situations where you have a lot of players, and we recognize as referees we're trying to watch a lot of different matchups, and it makes our job a little bit more difficult in order to pick out these offenses. All right, but these are the considerations we'll be talking about today when we go through clips 2, 3, and 9. So Doug, if we can go to clip 2, please. And we'll play it through first, if that's okay. We recognize many of these decisions are very difficult decisions. This one's in the final minute of the game, score is 1-0, and we have this situation pop up. All right, so we need to run through, as referees, we need to quickly run through the considerations in order to make our decision. Well, the first one that we can get rid of right away is the fact that the arm is not above the shoulder. All right, so that's out of there. So really all we have to consider now is this a deliberate action of the hand or the arm to the ball, or is this player creating a barrier for the ball? And we also need to consider what is the natural or normal playing silhouette. When you think about a defender and the way a defender is going to stand, if you look at any of the other players that you have on the field, all the players, their arms are relaxed. If you could just stop it right there, Doug, please. Thank you. So if you look at all the other players, even 22 in white, all right, 5 blue right next to him. You look at the other defender, number 25 blue. All of their arms are in natural positions, and their arms are slightly bent. All right, number 29 in white, right in the middle of the screen there. Look at the way his arms are. These are all natural positions for the arms to be in, and this is all part of what we call that playing silhouette. But if you look at now the player in question, Doug, if you can go ahead a few frames, just to that point of contact. Thank you, that's perfect. All right, his arm is stiff. His arm, yes, is down at the side, all right, but it is somewhat extended away from the body. He does make sure that the arm is in the path of the ball. All right, so we can look at this as the player creating a barrier for the ball. We don't need to have this completely extended away from the body. Just looking at the position of the arm, the position of the elbow, all right, he is creating that barrier. All right, he stops the ball from going through. Also notice his left arm is bent tight across his chest. All right, where this other arm now is outstretched down at his side in the path of the ball. If this player was truly looking to get away from the ball and out of the way of the ball, you would typically see both of the arms coming towards the chest. All right, whereas this other arm is extended down at the side. All right, so for these reasons, and again, notice that these are all visual cues that we're going to be looking for to determine handball or no handball. But because the arm is extended down towards the side, all right, but stiff-armed outside the normal playing silhouette, creating that barrier, this is going to be a handball offense. So in this case, a penalty should be awarded. The other thing we now need to factor in is disciplinary. All right, should we be given a yellow card or a red card in this situation? All right, so the first one that we can rule out is the red card. So in order for this to be a red card offense, we would have to have, just bring it back a little bit further. Oh, right there. No, sorry, Doug. Go forward, a little bit forward, a little more. As I want to see the goalkeeper and the, all right, thank you, perfect. All right. In order for this to be a red card offense, as referees, we need to be sure that a goal would have resulted. All right, we need to say that this would be a denial of a goal. Since the shot's already been taken, we're not talking about goal scoring opportunity. The opportunity has already been there. We just have to talk about whether this is the denial of a goal. All right. Since we have that goalkeeper back, we also have defenders that are in the way of the goal and the ball. Right. It's very difficult for us to say that a goal would have resulted. Now, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. So again, this is a red card offense that we're talking about. So we have to be absolutely sure that this would have been a goal. All right, and that's very difficult for us as referees to do. So now, because this is a shot on goal, any shot on goal is certainly going to be a promising attack. Since we did say that this is a handball offense, it's a stopping of a promising attack, so a yellow card should be issued in this case. So final outcome in this one should have been penalty and yellow card. Now, how do we get this right? This is a difficult clip. I understand why a lot of people said no foul. And actually, my first gut reaction on this one was no fouls. It looked like the hand was against the side. And we know that angles can tell a completely different story. And if we're in the right position, if we're looking straight up from where the shot is, or a little bit further to the right from where the referee was in this clip, we may have a better angle to see that the hand is a little bit further away from the body and that this is a handball offense. Tori?
It is a game of angles, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely it is.
That was so eloquently put. Thank you very much, Mark. What fabulous analysis. So let's take a look at what everyone had marked here. And as he had alluded to, a lot of you said no foul. So we've talked to clearly why it would be, what are some considerations, how we can get maybe a better angle in order to see this directly on and be certain that his hand is extended and out. And then the other thing is the misconduct piece. So a lot of you had no card here. And as Mark had alluded to, it's really critical, as this is potentially a shot on goal, that we want to consider a yellow card for misconduct here. And it is super important that we're all aligned on this, because consistency is critical for us. And like you'd mentioned, this is the last few moments of the game. So getting this big decision right is important. So thanks for going through that. Let's go ahead and hit another clip. Let's go to clip 3.
Okay. So again, we have a situation where this is going to be a difficult decision for the referee, because where the ball actually strikes the player is going to be important. Is this hitting the chest? Is it hitting the arm? Where is the arm positioned? And again, as Tori just said, this is a game of angles. So looking at this still frame right here, all right, and a referee is not going to be right on top of the play within 5 yards all the time. All right, you need to ask yourself, where is that left arm of that player in red? If that arm is tucked against the body, then we can say that the player was making themselves smaller. They were not making themselves unnaturally bigger. So if that arm is tucked against the body, we would certainly have a no handball offense. All right, so no whistle. We would be able to play on and restart, in this case, with a throw-in. But if you go frame by frame and you look at this, and again, this is very difficult. That was perfect, Doug. If you go forward a few frames, right there, the arm is actually extended out in front of the player. All right, and because the arm is extended away from the body, she is making herself unnaturally bigger again. She's creating a barrier for the ball. All right, and once we recognize that her arm is extended away from the body, this becomes a very easy decision. All right, so in this case, this is a handball offense. The arm is not tight against the body. She has deliberately played the ball. She has made herself unnaturally bigger, so we should have a direct free kick. In this particular case, again, because it's a game of angles, because of the position where the situation happens, it could be difficult for a referee. This is a situation where the referee does not have an assistant referee to assist them, but certainly the alternate official could be in a position in this case to give some assistance. All right, and whether it's using a communication set or stepping up to the touch line and getting the referee's attention in some manner, whichever is talked about in the pregame conference, all right, that communication can be given to the referee to give assistance in these types of situations, especially when the alternate official is in a better position or has a better angle than the referee. So again, this is a handball offense, direct free kick. When you talk about now the disciplinary sanction, All right, if you bring it back again, Doug, please, so we can just see the action. All right, play it forward from here. The player in white is actually crossing the ball or serving the ball into the penalty area. All right, it's very difficult to say that a teammate in white is going to gain control of the ball. All right, is going to maintain possession of the ball and really say that they have a promising attack in this case. All right, because there are too many uncertainties afterwards as to what the outcome of this cross would be, we would tend to say no yellow card and say that this is not stopping a promising attack. If she was just trying to chip it past the player in red to maintain control and go into the space behind, then we can say that that's stopping a promising attack, because the likelihood of her regaining control of the ball and continuing this attack towards the penalty area would be very high. But again, in general, when we talk about crosses towards the penalty area, we tend to say that that is not a yellow card offense. We tend to say that is not stopping a promising attack, unless we're sure that there's somebody on the other end of that pass, on the other end of that cross, that would gain control of the ball and go forward and continue with that attack. So in this case, final result, direct free kick, no card. Tori?
That was great. One other thing to add into this clip is, sometimes we see the nature of female soccer players is their arms are up and in the air, right? It is really critical that we stay consistent with our application of handball, irregardless of if their natural instinct is to play with their hands a little higher up than maybe on the male side. And that includes across divisions too. When we're doing a D2, a D3 game, we might see more hands out. That doesn't mean that it's not a handball. So let's be consistent across the board in how we apply this. So thank you for that, Mark. Looking at the analysis, you can see a handful of us had no foul here. And as Mark had clearly gone through very lovely and eloquently, we can see why it is. Hand is out and away from her body. We talked through that, so thank you very much for that. We had a handful of people say it is a yellow card, and so just like Mark had alluded to, it's really not stopping a tactical or promising attack there. So we want to make sure we keep that in the pocket and use it when we really need it, and really this is just a foul. So let's go over our third and final clip. Take it away.
All right, again, Tori mentioned that the final minute of the game the last time, this one is 17 minutes to go, but any penalty area decision, is certainly going to be a big decision, whether it's minute 1 or minute 90 for the referees. So in this case, I think when we look at the considerations, and stop it right on the point of contact, Doug, thank you, that's perfect. All right, number 22 does have his arm. His arm is not tucked into his body. His arm is not down at his side. From his elbow to his hand is extended in front of his body. He is creating that barrier. So in this case, we do have a penalty. We do have a handball offense, all right, for all the considerations that we talked about in the previous 2 clips. So really what this one comes down to is whether we have a yellow card or a red card. Again, it's a shot on goal, so at the very least, we should be thinking yellow card. All right, so what we want to do now is we need to go through the considerations to see if this is going to be a red card or a denial of a goal. All right, again, we need to be very careful about any time we give a red card for denial of a goal or denial of a goal scoring opportunity. Even for dog show, we talk about the 4 considerations for dog show. It needs to be clearly obvious. Everyone that looks at it needs to say, yes, all the considerations are there for us to be pulling out a red card and having such a big impact on the game. All right, so in this case, for us as referees, again, we need to say clearly that this was denying a goal. All right, where is the goalkeeper position? Where is the shot going? All right, is it going to an open net? Does the goalkeeper have an opportunity to make the save? And really, that's what we need to look at. Does this goalkeeper have that opportunity? And it's, again, in this case, just like in clip 2, it's going to be important. We can't really say definitively that this is going into the net. All right, I think based on where his position, based on his readiness to make a save, he at least has an opportunity to make a save. So to send off this player for denial of a goal is going to be extremely harsh. All right, so in this case, we can say it is stopping a promising attack, and a yellow card and penalty should be given in this situation.
Perfect. So question for you, Mark, on this.
Yeah.
It's a game of angles, right? You got the referee, luckily maybe because it's the back of the arm. Talk about maybe the AR and the communication that could be happening here, because the AR very well may have a better look at this contact. So any feedback or thoughts on that?
Right. So if we look at it again from this angle, that's perfect. You are doing an outstanding job, Duck. I just go up to the point of contact here. The referee in this case is looking through a player's back. He may be able to smell that there's a handball offense here, because you do see some movement of the arm away from the body after the ball strikes the arm. But he may not, in this case, he may not have a good view of where the arm was in front of the body, if it was close to the leg or if it was extended out. But if you look at the wide picture here and the orientation of number 2's body, the assistant referee would have the perfect view to see that the arm is extended away from the body. All right, and this is stuff that needs to be talked about in that pregame conference. Before you step out onto the field, we need to understand as a whole officiating team what the roles and responsibilities are going to be for everyone. Now, it's very difficult in general for an assistant referee to give information. It may look like to the assistant referee that the referee is in a very good position. He has an unobstructed view to player number 2. However, he doesn't have the best angle to see where the arm is. So what type of communication is going to happen between the referee and the assistant referee to say, I need help in this situation. Help me out. What did you see? How are you going to communicate? Are you communicating with comm sets? Are you communicating with a flag? All right, so all of that stuff needs to be worked out. But certainly this is going to be a situation if penalty is not awarded. This is a situation where the assistant referee will need to step in and give that information to the referee.
Absolutely. Perfect. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Mark. So if we can take a look at the analysis. So a handful of us had no foul here. We already talked through why that is a handball and what we would expect there. And then here we really had a wide variety on the misconduct. So as Mark had discussed, the shot on goal is expected a yellow card. We wouldn't consider it a red card because of the goalkeeper consideration, like the first clip we reviewed today. And those are important for us to keep consistent as we are getting closer to the IFAB considerations and rules and applications. It's important for us to understand a shot on goal versus a denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. So important differentiators there. So thank you so much, Mark, for walking us through that.
Yeah, of course.
Fabulous. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. I understand we had a little bit of technical issues, so we will make sure the full clip is recorded for those of you that are live right now. So come back and check the start of it once we post it, if you will. But a couple of shout outs to our crew behind the scenes helping to make this happen. Hi, Doug. Hi, team. So Doug and Lena at the Never Ends Productions, thank you guys so much for your help. Of course, Lance and Kahan, the masterminds behind our stimulus quiz, helping us every week, making sure we're working these clips from all angles, including consultants at Pro and CONCACAF and FIFA and across conferences in NCAA as well to make sure we are all aligned on the clips and we're bringing you guys the best in education. And then, of course, the funding support from NISOA Foundation Fund. We wouldn't be able to have this quiz if it wasn't for their support. So thank you very much, guys, for that. So next week topic is challenges. So keep your eyes out for that. This is another area where we have a wide variety and we need to kind of bring it in tighter and have a little bit more consistency across the board. So keep your eyes out for that one. Couple friendly reminders. Please do not hit the asterisk. The asterisk is not a selection point. You will just get that one wrong. We had a handful of those again this week, so please don't hit the asterisk. Only submit once, and please share with your peers. There's a lot of people behind this, making this happen for you guys, so we want to make sure we're reaching as much of our audience as possible. We've got 5,000 members and about 700 engaged in the quiz, so we'd love to see that increase. So please, guys, share it with your peers. Let's make sure we're all consistent in the fall once we get on the pitch. And of course, we're so excited to continue to provide you guys engaging education and inspiring you guys with amazing instructors like Mark Geiger. We're so pleased and thrilled to have you join us. Really the best in class education you're going to get anywhere. So thank you very much. So I will stop rambling and we'll get to what everyone has been waiting for, which is the announcement of the winners. So if you will, without further ado, Mark's going to help me out with this.
So in first place, congratulations, Derek Smith from Pennsylvania.
Woohoo! Second place, Ted Uncle
From Florida. Third place, Eric Usher of North Carolina.
Derek Cool from Florida as well.
Fifth place, Larry Pachon from Georgia.
And sixth place, Andrew Mustache from Arkansas.
In seventh place, Mitch Lillywhite from Utah.
And in eighth place, we have Kyle Chibadanes, I believe is how you pronounce it.
And ninth place, John Okama from Florida.
And then in 10th place, we have Colin Ashley from North Carolina. Congratulations to all of our winners. We'll be mailing out those checks in the next day. So if you want to pass on those funds, just shoot me an email, a text, or otherwise, and we will forgo that to another member in need. So thank you guys very much. Congratulations to our winners. And please tune in next week for challenges. Mark, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Tori, for having me on. This is fun.
It's really great to have somebody who's the best in the world. So thanks for joining us. Maybe I can get a high five here. Boom. Until next time. Yay. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We had 227 live. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you next week.